Okay, so good morning again, everyone. 29th of April, Friday, end of the week. We've had a big week, especially with the US yen, the Bank of Japan yesterday coming out with a unlimited buying on a daily basis, 10-year bonds at 0.25%, weakening the US yen to that 131 level right now, retracing back down or sitting in consolidation a little bit. Are we going to see the US yen at 135? It looks like it, but it might take a little bit of time, especially waiting for the dollar to push it up higher. So with that, Traders Club members, if you have any questions, I've seen that the platform has picked up in terms of chat and charts sharing. Continue with that. Good work on that. I am giving you my thoughts and my ideas on anything that you share, and also sharing my trade ideas as well. If you have any questions, put it into the platform. And if you are watching us on YouTube, this is recorded live for club members, and this is uploaded later onto YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure you check out the links and join up into the club platform. With that, any information shared in this video is not intended to be a trade recommendation. It is solely the opinion and views of myself, so please remember to do your own analysis prior to entering any trades. Right, so today being Friday, what we will be paying attention to or focusing on will be the US CAD, well, the dollar index, the US CAD, a couple of cryptocurrencies. But before all that, I want to draw your attention into what could happen over today and into next week. It is going to be a big week next week, but it is also a long weekend in Singapore here. So quick administrative reminder, no currency call on Monday for everyone. No currency call on Tuesday because it's a public holiday, Monday and Tuesday, but we will be back on Wednesday morning. That's why I want to give you a bit of a heads up into what could happen next week. But club members, I am still on the platform. So Friday today, you can see that not much happening. We do have the CAD GDP number month on month looking to go from a 0.2 to a 0.8%, a slight upward move in the GDP number for the CAD that could strengthen the CAD dollar a little bit, and then nothing much else. We have spoken about the Eurozone GDP and CPI numbers, so I'll leave that. But pay attention to what could happen into next week, right? So next week is going to be a big one. Monday, we do have the US manufacturing PMI numbers. Hang on a second. But more importantly, look at it. Tuesday, 3rd of May, Aussie cash rate looking to go from a 0.1 to a 0.25%. So the RBA looking to increase interest rates by a small amount at this point. Would we see a bit of a surprise there? Maybe, right? Maybe we might see a surprise there, but overall still looking at a upward move in interest rates for the Australian dollar, so possibly an upward move there. Pay attention to that. Could be a big price mover on Tuesday morning. On Wednesday, we do have New Zealand with the employment numbers, and if you notice, the Bank of Japan is on holiday. Japan's on holiday. It looks like with Japan on holiday, we might see further weakening of the yen during that period. On Wednesday, we do have the ADP non-farm payrolls. On Thursday morning, we do have the Fed funds rate looking to go up by 50 basis points, a big rate increase coming from the FOMC. And following on from that, Thursday evening, the Bank of England with a possible 25 basis point increase from a 0.75 to a 1% in terms of bank rates. And on Friday, non-farm payrolls to be released. I think in the overall scheme of things, this seems to be the least attractive A lot of activity here. Bank of England with the interest rates increase on Thursday evening. Thursday morning, Fed funds rate from 0.5 to 1%, and Australia with their rate increase on Tuesday morning. I think at this point right now, it's not about whether they increase rates across the board, or it's more about how much they're going to increase rates. Are they going to increase as expected, or are they going to surprise the markets? So next week is going to be a big one. This week, right now, today, it's a lot of news, not big price movers, all the way to the GDP number, and then after that, we do have the GDP number for the US CAD, right? So looking here at the dollar index, what we saw yesterday for the dollar index was it went as high as 103.79, right? And then it retraced back down. Why that retrace was because of yesterday's news. Where was it? Yesterday's news, advanced GDP number for the US went from 6.9, expected at 1.1, was minus 1.4%, minus 1.4%. So we saw that big retrace back down. Why we have these two lines during the session last night with Traders Club members, I was looking for it to either test that 103.30 level, or at a very maximum come towards the 102 or 103 level before possibly bouncing back up. So I think that view still holds. I'm looking for the dollar to come into that range, retrace back into that range at this point before bouncing back up towards the 103 and towards the 104 level. So I'm looking for that move on the dollar at this point. But with that said, which means that we're looking at some further retrace, either a retrace or consolidation across the board against the dollar before that dollar to strengthen back up again. So I'm looking for dollar to hit that 104 level. So with that, what it means is that looking at the US CAD, all right, US CAD actually has been moving quite nicely. We were talking about this with our club members when it approached that 1.28 level on Tuesday. We were talking about that trade. It went towards the 1.2850, breached it slightly before turning back down again. So anticipation is dollar index to consolidate before strengthening again. So to consolidate at this level below 1.28, right? Below 1.28, I expect to consolidate before possibly strengthening again. But remember, we do have the Canadian GDP number to go from, likely to go from a 0.2 to a 0.8%. So what that means is, looking at the US CAD, if the Canadian dollar is to strengthen, we should see that downside come into play. So what to look out for on the US CAD at this point? A little bit of flexibility, a little bit of ways to play this is that I would like to see a reversal. So it's been climbing quite strongly since the 20th of April up towards from this 1.24 or 1.25 level towards the 1.28. Now, is it time for a reversal? I'll be a bit safer to say below 1.2760. You could have a 50 pip stop loss, and then your take profit could come back into this 1.26 range, and 100 pips take profit level or 130 pip take profit level, a 1:2 or 1:2.6 risk reward ratio towards the downside for the US CAD, given we see that the dollar weakens into that range. So it weakens into that range, and also with the CAD GDP being stronger, we could see that retrace back down again, right? So I'll move that there. You could see that move. You need the candle to come down and close below that point. So if I zoom out, this is a similar move that I'm looking for. A similar move to what happened on the 15th of March, where it broke up above that 1.28 level, retraced below 1.28, 1.28 or broke above that 1.2850, retraced back down, and we saw that big reversal all the way down towards 1.26 and even as low as 1.25. So I'm looking for that similar move, but right now into May, right? So that's the US CAD towards the downside. But if we do see the dollar continue to strengthen towards that 104 level, then what you could be looking for, and this is a safer trade, will be for upside move, but it is going to be very limited. At the most, 50 pips towards the upside, stop loss 30 pips below that 1.28 resistance level right now. I would say that's your 1:2, almost 1:2 risk reward ratio towards the upside for the US CAD. So again, we are back at that decision level of 1.28 for the US CAD. With that said, looking at Bitcoin, some of the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin has been dropping. If I extended, so I've got this blue trend line towards the downside. If I extended this slightly and tweaked it a little bit there, right? You can see that every time it's come towards that range, it's turned down, not as much, but towards that range, it's turned down. So at this point right now, if you are looking to trade it, I would say anticipate further downside, possibly back towards that 38,000 level and maybe even that 37,050 level. So looking at further downside on Bitcoin, same thing towards the recent low or maybe slightly lower. That's Bitcoin, the H4 time frame against the dollar. I would say that if you're looking to trade it, look for that downside. But if not, then the longer term view will be to look for value to buy at that point where it seems to be bouncing off quite, it always used to bounce off quite strongly at 3760, 37,600. So bounced off a couple of times at those points would be good place for value. And lucky last, looking at Ethereum, again, same thing, it's been dropping. I am looking at, again, similar to what we expect for Bitcoin, is further downside. Where's that trend line gone? Same thing there, moving lower. So anticipating for it to test that 2,825 level again. You can see that at that point, since March, it struggled to break below. If it does break below, we're going to see a lot of downside. But at this point, I don't think we're going to see massive downside on Ethereum. I'm only looking for it to track lower from this 2,900 to 2,828 level. Right? So short and sharp, I think that the focus for today, being the last day of the week, possibly still onto the US yen. I wouldn't look into too much other pairs. The US yen, the euro yen, the pound yen. We've shared quite a couple of trades last night with our club members. Some of it did go up to take profit or very close to take profit levels. I hope you jumped onto those trades. With that, I'm looking for further upside onto the US yen, possibly to test that 135 level again. With that said, trade well, trade safe. Have a good weekend. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.